A joyful good morning to all respected principal ma'am, teacher, parents and all my dear friends. Myself Aditya Rasing, class 4. Today I am very glad to represent a topic food chain of different habitat with my group. My group member are my friend Sai Surusai, Aditya Rautra, Subram Naik and Satya Sundar. Before we go to the topic, first we have to know that what is habitat. Habitat means the natural home which provides all the necessities to the animal or plant for survival. Example, an ocean is the habitat because it is natural home of bees provide them with air, food, water and place to live. Next one is comfort. We all know that our body needs energy to be released to do activities. We get this energy from the food that we eat. All living beings eat food and have different food habitat. Based on their food habitat, there are three types of animals: herbivorous, carnivorous, omnivorous. Herbivorous, those are plant eater, that is called herbivorous. Carnivorous, those are flesh eater, that is called carnivorous. Omnivorous, those are both plant and flesh eater, that is called omnivorous. Now my friends, I shall tell about food chain. Thank you.
Thank you, Adi. For all the living organisms depend on other organisms. Food chain. A food chain is present between relationship different between living in a particular habitat. So that who is whom. Food chain consists four major parts. One, the sun, two producers, three consumers, and four decomposers. Now my friend Aditya Rautra will explain details about the food chain.
Thank you, Sai. We all know that a food chain represents a feeding relationship between all living beings in a particular habitat. In this model, you can see sun, grasshopper, plant, frog, eagle, worm. In this food chain, plants are producers. Why plants are producers? Because they produce their own food by the help of sunlight. The process by which plants make their own food are called photosynthesis. In this food chain, the sun gives the sunlight to the plant and they make their own food. The primary consumers like cow, buffalo, they feed on the plants. Here, in this model, the grasshopper feeds on the plant. The secondary consumer like dog, they feed on the primary consumer. Like in this model, the frog feeds on the grasshopper. Then the tertiary consumer like wool, they feeds on the secondary consumer. Like in this model, the eagle feeds on the frog. Now I tell the most vital one, which is the decomposers. When all these animals and plants will die, the decomposers will feed the dead organisms and make into nutrients. These nutrients are then taken by the producers for making their own food. Now my friend Subham will tell. Now I will explain here I saw a video.
Levels of consumers. Hello students, we know that all living beings need food for their survival. They either make their own food or consume food from their surroundings. This forms a chain between different living beings. This chain is called a food chain. A food chain represents a feeding relationship between different living beings in a particular habitat. It shows us who eats whom. We know that green plants produce their own food in the presence of sunlight. Hence, they are known as producers in a food chain. But what about animals? Do you think that they can make their own food? No, animals cannot make their own food. They depend on producers or other animals for food. Hence, they are known as consumers in a food chain. In a food chain consisting of grass, a grasshopper, a shrew, and an owl, who do you think is the producer? The grass is the producer in this food chain, as it can make its own food. Who do you think are the consumers in this food chain? All the animals, that is, the grasshopper, the shrew, and the owl are the consumers in this food chain. This is because they depend on other organisms for their food. Do you think all consumers only eat plants or only eat animals? No, we know that some animals only eat plants, some only eat animals, and some eat both. Let us look at the different types of consumers depending on their food habits. In this food chain, the grasshopper consumes grass. So, what do you think is the food habit of the grasshopper? It is a herbivore, as it eats grass. Such living beings that depend on producers are also called primary consumers. Primary means first in the order. They are the first consumers in the food chain. These animals are plant eaters. What do you think is the food habit of the shrew? It consumes grasshoppers. Living beings that eat primary consumers are called secondary consumers. Secondary means second in order. They are the second consumers in the food chain. Many secondary consumers eat primary consumers as well as plants. Hence, they are plant and meat eaters. They are known as omnivores. What do you think is the food habit of the owl? It consumes the shrew. Living beings that eat secondary consumers are called tertiary consumers. Tertiary means third in the order. They are the third consumers in the food chain. They are meat eaters, also known as carnivores. Thus, based on their food habits, there are three levels of consumers. A few examples of herbivores are deer, zebras, and cows. A few examples of omnivores are human beings, bears, and pigs. A few examples of carnivores are foxes, lions, and snakes. Let us summarize what we have learned in this video. Producers are green plants that can make their own food. Primary consumers are living beings that eat producers and are herbivores. Secondary consumers are living beings that eat primary consumers and are mostly omnivores. Tertiary consumers are living beings that eat secondary consumers and are carnivores. Therefore, a food chain has both producers and consumers. Bye-bye. Happy learning.
So now I think you all know about food chain. So now my friend Subham will tell the four major habitats. Thank you, Adi. Thank you, Adi. The four major habitats are desert, grassland, glacial, polar region, desert, polar region, grassland, ocean. Thank you.
Thank you, Shubham. Now I am explaining by showing the modern habitats. The pictures in the different habitats mean who lives whom in a different habitat. Let's see the model. Model has 4 habitats. And they were desert habitat, polar region habitat, grassland habitat, and ocean habitat. Every habitat has different animals and plants that adapt or adjust to its unique weather conditions, maybe hot, cold, dry, and availability of food. This is showing the desert habitat. The plant in the desert habitats like cactus, plant, desert jellyfish, and the animals like ground squid, desert fox, and camel. We know that the desert is a place where only a few amount of water found. Here in this habitat, the cactus is eaten by the ground squid, and the ground squid is eaten by the desert fox. This is showing the food chain of desert habitat. Let's see the food chain of polar region habitat. This is showing the food chain of polar region habitat. Plant in the polar region habitats like moss, plant in the Arctic region, and animals like Arctic rabbit, Arctic wolf, and polar bear. We all know that in the polar region the sand is covered with snow and the snowfall occurs. Here in this region habitat, the plant in the Arctic region is eaten by the Arctic rabbit, and the Arctic rabbit is eaten by the Arctic wolf. This is showing the region of polar region habitat. Let's see the region of grassland habitat. The plant in the grassland habitats like grass, bamboo tree, and acacia tree, and animals like zebra, lion, cheetah, panther. We all know that the grassland climate is always hot and cold. Here in this food habitat, the grass is eaten by the zebra and the zebra is eaten by the lion. This is showing the food of grassland habitat. Let's see the food of ocean habitat. The plant in the ocean habitat like seaweed plant and animals like small fish, large fish, octopus, and shark. The sunlight falls straight to the land, but in ocean it has to take past the water and go around. Here in this ocean habitat, the seaweed is eaten by the small fish, and the small fish is eaten by the large fish. This is showing the ocean habitat. Thank you.